Thank you so much for tuning in to the Minecraft Emporium. In celebration of the fact that the channel has recently surpassed 175 subscribers, I am going to be doing something very different and very special. Because in today's video, we're covering 4 tips and tricks very in-depth and very thoroughly that should hopefully not only make you better at redstone, but hopefully give you a better mentality for understanding redstone and practicing redstone in your Minecraft journeys. If you end up enjoying, we are getting fairly close to 200 subscribers, and so if you could join the community by slapping that red subscribe button, that'd be absolutely fantastic. And without further ado, I would like to hop straight into our first and most important tip of today's video, and that is observers, the holy grail of Minecraft. And the reason why I say they're so useful is because unlike redstone lines and redstone repeaters, observers really get you into this mentality of instructions, because redstone can often be considered as a form of instructions. This is the lower part of a 3x3 piston door, and we can consider it as a set of instructions. Power and unpower this, power and unpower this, power and unpower this, and then retract this, double piston extender this, and then retract this, and then grab it, and so forth. And that series and mentality of directions almost fits perfectly with the theory of observers, that as soon as we add and interact with the observers, they'd go in order from instruction 1 to instruction 2 to instruction 3, and so forward. And so I want you in your next redstone build, however large, however small, however complex, etc., to use as many observers as possible. That being said, don't overdo it, because observers give a pulse, and sometimes you want a solid signal, but another benefit of observers is that they can be packed so much denser. For example, a redstone dust requires a block beneath it, but redstone observers can be packed in a wide variety of shapes to provide the perfect amount of redstone detail that you might need in trying to learn redstone. So again, try to use observers. They genuinely and truly help with this mentality of order and directions. You can almost see a pipeline going from one set of a redstone build to another, and that really helps with your mentality. Tip number 2 is about knowing your circuits. I might probably will not come as a surprise to you, but a lot of redstone is just putting together already pre-made circuits into something a little bit better. And so I want you to memorize how to make a block swapper, because if you have to remake it and just build it mentally every time you want to use a block swapper, you're probably not going to improve too much with redstone. So look up tutorials if you have to, but try to get this habit of knowing your redstone builds. Know how to make a T flip-flop. It looks like this, and everyone uses it. Know how to make an XOR gate, because nobody knows how to use those. Know how to make a double piston extender, and so forth. Obviously, when I say memorize, it's not always a good idea to memorize, but if you just have a familiarity with knowing each individual circuit, you can put them together. Here, for example, is just a block swapper with some surrounding redstone, and so you can actually get really, really good at practicing redstone by just fancying up and improving all of these basic redstone contraptions. So that's tip number 2, know your redstone circuits and hopefully have them memorized. For tip number 3, I want to tell you a story. My first ever 3x3 piston door was gigantic, and by gigantic, I mean absolutely enormous. And the vast majority of the circuitry, I can tell you truthfully, looked exactly like this, because this is actually a pulse extender. As you can see, that redstone lamp is kept on far, far longer than I was actually flicking this lever. And hopefully you're seeing where I'm going with this tip, that it is very, very important that you understand how to use pulse extenders. Everybody nowadays uses these comparator pulse extenders, which can be extended not only by adding a block on the back, but also by cycling more comparators facing into each other, and they are 10 times better than all of these repeater mechanisms over there. Also, another pulse extender to keep in mind is this dropper hopper one, in that an item is fired into a hopper, which is then read out by a comparator into a redstone lamp. It's a little bit hard to tell you exactly what comparators are used for, just because I want you to use them in your own creative way. But let me tell you, if you want a piston to be stayed extended for a little bit longer than others, you might very well want to use a pulse extender. Or if you want a button or a lever to just have a longer pulse, obviously you'd want to use a pulse extender. So that's tip number 3, and that is to know pulse extenders and know how to use them. They are very common things, but sometimes very misunderstood things that I truly feel that could help benefit your redstone experience. Last of all, but not least, we arrive upon Slimestone. Please don't click off the video just yet. If you made it this far, I can promise you that Slimestone is just as interesting as redstone itself. So engines are a core part of Slimestone flying machines, and if you're using a redstone engine such as this with some observers and pistons going back and forth, I want you to stop using that right this instant because of two general reasons. First of all, this flying machine base here is vastly better. Not only do we not have to light it with something like a flint and steel because it just launches automatically, it is actually smaller and faster than this design over here. And additionally, if this gets stuck on some kind of a chunk border, this one will start immediately whenever it gets unblocked, but that one over there, whoops, I cannot stop this for some reason, that one over there will require you to relight it. Additionally, this one has a slightly higher push capabilities than that one, and so I really want you to use this engine over here. All we have is a regular piston, and then a sticky piston with an observer as soon as this redstone block is then pushed out. In a similar vein, if you're using these little pushing mechanisms, for example, you attach to your engine a pushing mechanism, I want you to stop immediately using observers. I know that's a little hypocritical based on what was my first tip, but for Slimestone, I really want you to be using redstone blocks because they are just so much more efficient and so much more reliable and so much better for flying machines because, as I mentioned, they don't require ignition. They are very reliable over chunk borders and things. I really want you to stop using observers in some places and start using them in others. In any case, thank you so much for 175 subscribers. Hopefully, my list was okay. I know each person learns redstone slightly differently, but if you end up enjoying, thank you so much for tuning in. Please do consider subscribing and leaving a like down below. And with that, take care.